Can I start with item 1, which is to receive apologies for absence? Have you got any apologies?
Yeah, Councillors Clark, Messington, Morton.
Thank you. Item 2 is any declarations of interest relating to items on the agenda. No?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Minutes of the previous meeting. Has anybody got any quibbles with the meetings in terms of accuracy?
With the minutes.
Second.
Right, so minutes have been moved by Councillor Earl, seconded by Councillor Hogben. All those in favour? So those are received. Item 4 is public participation. Have we got any members of the public? We have no members of the public. Have we had any questions submitted? Nope. So we move on to item number 5, which is to review the year-to-date financial position and material variances for Crewe Town Council, standing item. So
It's
I'll give you
nothing to review because it's April and it's the first month of the financial year, so no reports.
Right,
Just
no
left
reports.
on the agenda, just
right.
leave it on the agenda to be honest. There's nothing to report.
Spending is going as predicted.
Well, yeah, this early stage.
Sorry.
That took a long time.
So we do this every meeting anyway, don't we? Right, so item 6 is to consider and approve payments to date. The recommendation to council on the 1st and 2nd, 2024. Oh, sorry, payments between the 1st and 2nd, 2024 and the 3rd,
31st.
31st and 3rd, 2024 to the value of £234,899.69.
Yeah, it's a standard report that we declare all spend and it's circulated when available. It has to be at the end of the last calculated and reported financial month, which is March, rather than April, because we're not at the end yet. And that's their standard thing.
Right. I'll give you a few minutes to look through, just in case anybody's got any questions. This has gone through the councillors who approve payments. It's gone through that internal system.
Is it the chairs that do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it can be other councillors if you want to do that, Councillor Hogben.
Well, in the financial regulations, it's chairs
All right.
who are approved, but if you wanted to amend the financial regulations, that's up to members.
No. No, Councillor Hogben is saying he's happy not to be part of that happy band of children.
Well, I'm just asking a question.
Nobody got any questions or comments?
Just need to recommend it to council.
Right. So have we got someone who's willing to propose that we recommend this to council? That's Minister and Francis. Anybody wanting to second? Kevin? All those in favour? Thank you. So item 7 is to review the governance documents as part of the annual governance review process. New reserves policy.
Yeah, you'll see in the internal report there's 2 recommendations into audit report gives us. One is the reserves policy. So we've now got, if you want to accept it, a reserves policy. That's for the audit recommendation.
Right, so that was the recommendation from
Internal.
an internal audit.
Yep.
So has anybody got any comments on that?
Well, I think the only question really is, are there any particular changes that we should
There are no changes, it's a brand new policy.
It's a brand new policy.
It's a standard off the shelf policy. I haven't rewritten the remaking of the wheel thing. It indicates that to have an appropriate level of reserves, there should be a minimum level and a maximum level, and the reason behind holding either level. So we currently sit towards the maximum end because we're quite financially well off. And that's quite appropriate. It's just it does indicate that if we were to exceed that, then we should really revisit why we're holding these reserves and how we can allocate it. But at this stage, that's not required.
That's the case, I mean, because it says it was adopted by the council 18 months ago, thereabouts, doesn't it? That's what it says at the top, adopted by council on the 4th of October 2023. Oh, wait a minute.
Are you on the right
I
policy?
think you skipped page 7.
Reserve policy,
Oh,
that one there.
yeah,
It's just two sizes and the pages.
I'm missing the pages.
You're on a different policy,
Yeah,
councillor.
it would help, to be frank with you, it would help me sometimes with the policies and that, if there were the pages were shown, so otherwise I'm going through them to sort of see where the policies are. Yes.
The headers have the agenda items on, if that helps.
Really?
The headers of the pages have the agenda items.
Yes, I do understand that, that's how I work out where they are.
Page 7.
So it's just pages 7 to 10,
This
isn't it?
one is 7.
Yeah.
Right, well,
Then-
perhaps
so
we can
it's
say
very
that
different.
going forward. Right, so reserves policy is new policy. I think we may as well just have a vote on them all. So we move on to the employee handbook.
Yeah, that's been slightly revised and that's got track changes in it from our HR underwriters, Results Whitehouse. There are amendments at page 17 to do with substance misuse. And these are the recommendations of our underwriters, so I include them and recommend them to you to update the employee handbook.
Is there anything there that we should be worried about?
No, it's just tightening it all up with learning from case law and any new regulation. That's their job to make sure we're up to date.
Okay.
Any other questions about the employee handbook? So is it a pretty standard document that you would get in similar organisations?
Yeah, it's something that gets updated at least once a year anyway by the underwriters. It's actually included twice this year. It being up to date is only a positive thing. It makes us positive employers. There's things about flexible working, but also robust in the sense of fewer gaps for errors.
The SSCs, it will be continually updated throughout the year as well, if there's any change.
Any changes, they send me an update, yeah, and then it comes to this committee for the recommendation of the council.
I don't know what the right way of putting this is, but is this something that covers everybody, in all works everywhere?
Everyone is employed by the council, yeah.
Right. But if I work for Joe Bloggs, would I be able to use this rule of debate or these to a certain extent?
The terms of employment with a different employer are there, but those terms of employment should include consideration of all current employment good practice, regulation, legislation, which is what that does. I couldn't say for every employer, there are a lot more rock and roll employees out there.
Well, I know that, but yeah.
Right, can I take it that we are happy with the employee handbook?
I'll move.
Right, we'll have a vote on that. So if we move on to the standing orders,
There are no changes to this, is just part of a rolling review. The standing orders require no change, double check them against standard documents, and standing orders unamended.
which is page
94.
74.
So that's as is then.
As is, yeah.
Has anybody got any comments on the standing orders? Bearing in mind there's no changes from what they were last year.
They're satisfactory last year, maybe, what, just because they're not been changed, that's saying.
Well, we lost the clerk, were they satisfactory?
They were satisfactory to the elected members as of May 2023.
Oh, that's, yeah, were they? Oh, right, that was what, when this was, I know it went through the annual council meetings, but obviously most of us there.
You remember when
Many
we had
of
to wake you up?
No, not really, no. I do recall that the rules that were taken on block, which
Yeah.
most of us, those of us who are new members, obviously had not seen before, so you take on trust, because you trust the.
Yeah, trust the process, I understand that. They are issued in advance to meet, obviously, you understand that. The standing orders are a recommended document, and the format and content is recommended by the sector, not by me. There are some localised changes, like the times and days of our meetings, that sort of thing, but other than that, they're all fairly standard. There's been no amendments nationally, and I've not seen fit to overrule that view at all. So that's that, and then it's in those standing orders that they must be reviewed for the annual meeting of the council, which is in May.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's a fair question, because obviously when you have a new council, it's a fact that most of the new councils will not have read all the stuff, and in fact, it might be online. I'm not sure whether you might even have a big paper copy, but it's rather unlikely that many members will have read all the stuff and taken it in. That's the problem.
Yeah, but there's no way around that, is there? Because they predate the election, and so it is what it is. But they haven't changed. They're fairly standard. They're a low risk document.
I've read some of this, and I haven't read all of it, but some of it that I have read, I haven't remembered. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
That's fair. That's very good.
How many pages is it? 20?
I haven't counted them all.
And you couldn't remember?
No, I can't.
This is the toolkit. This is the toolkit that you have to use during heated debates, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't have one.
Do we have heated?
Well, that's what I mean.
Looks like
How
everyone
boring
there.
it would be. No, that's generally speaking, that's but it's worth members, knowing where to find them, or being aware of them, because I'm pretty sure, to be quite honest with you, that there are plenty of members, not just on most councils, who really don't pay much attention to them.
Different members engage in different ways, and I can't force them to read them. But they exist as our structure of governance, and they're constantly.
The business of the annual review of all these certain documents, is that a long-standing thing? The reason I ask is from, not so many years ago I was a member of a different parish council, and I don't remember all this stuff from annual meetings.
It should happen, and the review that we do here, I don't think it was in place 3 years ago, but it's in place now because that's not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's good to see that the due process is observed.
Hopefully.
Well,
Right. So, Dennis has said he's willing to propose 3 documents for recommendations to council. Is anybody willing to second that? Kevin seconding. So all those in favour of referring these to full council? Yes, Kevin's voting yes, that's okay. So 8 is receive and approve the internal audit report for 23-24 and recommend to council. That's used to talk to us about this.
Yeah, you've got two recommendations from our internal auditors, as I always say, I like audit's a good thing. It's all about business improvement, and I try to implement all the recommendations of our internal auditors, because that's their job, is to find ways of doing things better. The two things they've noted this year are a typo in the AGAR, which you can see later on, which has been corrected, so that item has been done. And the second thing is to introduce a reserves policy, which you've just done. So that fulfills the internal audit. And anything else, the rest has all been implemented, as you can see from the report, and that set of pages is really been by the year, which is nice because it was 46 pages long a little while ago. And that's it. The internal audit isn't a light touch thing, by the way. The auditor gets all our documents, all our accounts, all our policies, all the minutes, all actions we've done, and then selects seemingly at random, but I'm pretty sure it's targeting areas, aspects to double check for evidence of actions. It takes about a week, and then this is the report that comes out at the end.
So if we just take, this is a random sample, I'll just open the page and we'll just see just to test the, and this is on page 99. And this would be last year, I guess, at the John McBride Trust.
Yes.
Which has been an issue that's been ongoing and one difficult to resolve. That was last year. The follow-up here, that has now been accepted as what we've done in that reserve. And I guess there'll be something else then, how we can spend those.
Yeah.
That money.
Yeah, exactly. That's
just following it through.
So
that would be different than.
Oh yeah, that's now closed off. That's right. Shaded is closed off. It's printed black and white, but on the screen it's green. It's clear. The John McBride Trust has been hanging over a sequence of councils for a period of time, and there's been an audit risk for a long period of time. It took a while to resolve, but the council agreed to meet the terms of that intent of that trust, which is for the benefit of the residents of Crewe, but not to administer for a third-party fund, which was the audit risk. And so in doing that, there is an earmarked reserve now that's called John McBride Trust for the purposes of that initial endowment. And then the trust itself as a charity has been struck off at the Charity Commission by their consent, which is all done according to regulation. And therefore we no longer have this audit risk. And so the council will then, at some point, access that money for the purpose of the original endowment.
And the auditor would look how next time, how we would then allocate that, and whether that is in the correct way.
Yes, quite right.
We can't just spend it on anything. That's to be done for the good of the whole.
That's right. If the demonstrators fulfil the purpose of the trust.
Right. So we've still got the trust in that sense.
Yeah.
And the money.
We have the purpose and intent of the trust without the charitable constraints of a third party organisation.
Okay. So that's just an example of. It's a random example.
Oh,
I didn't plan that. Okay, thank you.
right.
Right, so are there any more questions around the internal audit? So we have to recommend this to council, so that requires someone to propose it, recommend it to council, and second it.
I'll propose we recommend it.
Everybody's proposing and Dennis is seconding. All those in favour of recommending this to council? Thank you. So we're on to item number 9, which is to receive and approve the completed annual governance and accountability report, AGAR 23-24, and supporting information for recommendation to the council.
Hoping we don't take too many tests around on this because I haven't memorised all these documents. But I'll give it a go. The AGAR is our statutory requirement for government external audit. It's It happens every single year. The AGAR form, Annual Governance Accounts Return, is 6 pages long, and we fill in our part. Our internal auditor, once they complete their internal audit, it completes page 3 to sign us off as they've done the checks they are responsible for carrying out as we fulfilled it. And then the numbers on page 5 are associated with our end of year figures, and they have to be approved at council for this committee to recommend them to council. Those figures have been checked, have been audited, and then you'll find a lot of documents, financial reports behind them, and evidence of our compliance with regulations associated with various limits to general power of competence and things like that. The reconciliations and explanations of variance are all in there, and it's a complete document, and we then publish it and send it off to it's PKF Littlejohn is the government auditor, and they hope to send us it back before September for the end of that process. We currently operate these without exception. That's the phrase in the audit terms, which is great. An exception means something's wrong. An audit exception means something that they've identified as not appropriate, not correct, or not in order, and we operate our audits, our AGARs now without exceptions.
That's an exception.
Well, it's a positive thing, you know. It is to correct what you're paying to do. So I should be providing you AGARs without exception, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Accept exception.
Terminology we don't need. Well,
No,
specialist terminology.
yeah. I don't know why it's that phraseology.
Listen, it's not published.
It will be published. Yeah. It's everything we do is published, frankly. I put everything online. But this is specifically statutory period of publication. I think one of the documents, page 115, that shows the dates that will be literally displayed on a notice board, as well as being on the website. It'll be on the website as soon as we finish full council in May. And it will be there.
So it says the exercise of public rights. Is that what does that consist of, roughly?
The exercise of public rights is within the audit regulations. The exercise of public rights is there must be an open, publicised period where the accounts can be checked in person by any member or any elector of the parish. So the accounts are printed off, and should someone wish to go through them, they can. But they're published online as well, so, and they stay online ad infinitum. The regulation is prior to full website publications. But it just means if you want to come and set it all up on the desk, I put it once before, you get all the files out, set them on the desk, and leave them to pick the bones out there.
So it kind of answers those people who try to comment and criticise parts of local government for being not transparent and the like. I mean, for example, there on page 119 of the agenda, again, picking something totally random, it's something that's quite interesting, it's something that will stick in my mind, is the balances.
Yeah.
Top of the page. Now, for example, that's the sort of thing that it's open to the public for them to comment on or otherwise.
That you're referencing the bank reconciliation, which shows the bank reconciles all our payments are put online anyway throughout the year, and all our financial reports are put online. So it's all available.
They're available not just to everybody, including members of the council, as a means. From time to time, it's necessary to make the budget, isn't it?
Sure. We don't have an awful lot of challenge, to be honest, but because we display everything, there's not an awful lot of challenge physically left.
Thanks.
Are there any more questions, comments? Right, so this is a recommendation to council, so we need a vote. Anybody willing to propose that we recommend this to council? Councillor Hosben, any second, Councillor Murray. All those in favour of recommendation to council? Thank you. So we're now on to item 10, which is to discuss whether we should provide a town/parish newsletter.
Yeah,
You want to start off?
no problem, sorry Chair. The council provides lots of information digitally, which is all very good, it's all very efficient, and it provides social media information, promotion of events, promotion of activities in the town and charities and things like that, as well as the provision of all that transparency stuff I just spoke about. But effectively, the vast majority of it is digital. And it's been mentioned that is that fulfilling everything that we want to do? And our communications officer, Suzanne, has looked into whether a printed newsletter option is something you'd like to progress. There's no predetermination on our part here, but it's just trying to give that as an option to members to consider. She's drafted up a very rough concept of what one might look like, a few topics and things in there, and she's also done some research on what things might cost. It indicates, depending on the levels of printing that may want to go forward. I've read it, but I can't remember what the numbers are. So if it was to be distributed to every household, you'd have to print just short of 30,000 copies. And so if you wanted to drop it off through every door, it would be 30,000 copies. Current estimate on that would be just short of £4,000, 3,980. And delivery to all those doors, that would be a separate cost, would be just short of £3,000, £2,800. And then obviously distribution of the remainder stock to places like the library, village centre and market hall and community focused areas, that sort of thing. The other option, well, there are many options, you don't have to do it at all if you don't want to. It doesn't have to be printed on such scale if that's preferred not to be the case. 10,000 copies could be printed, for example, at £1,320, and they could be distributed to key community hubs around the town to be picked up by everyone who sees them. There's another option. You don't have to do it at all. You feel that communication is getting out fine. Equally, there's considerations of how often you might want to do it. Once a year, twice a year, every week. I wouldn't apply to that. I wouldn't have that much news going on. But it's just answering to queries we've had from members. Are there other means we should be considering for getting information out? Traditional media, Suzanne releases press releases, but traditional media take up newspapers is very low. So how far that goes is challenging.
Right, has anybody got any thoughts or comments? Steve?
Well, I'm happy to answer that. Yes, I think it's good to see there's a recognition that not everybody does everything online. There's a proportion of people who are immediately disadvantaged. If they're not doing that or using social media and the like. And whilst if you're on Facebook or Nextdoor or whatever, or actually go to the trouble of visiting the website, then you'll see these things. But it's not like going to the Chronicle. Whereas I can't honestly remember the last time I bought a physical copy of the Chronicle. It used to be a weekly ritual. Let's buy the newspaper to see what's in there. From one or two friends who still actually do read it, and they're advanced years, 80 plus, even though there's not much in it now. It's a very expensive article for what it is. And I don't suppose there's anything like related reports of council meetings, unlike a different Chronicle, was the Mid Cheshire Chronicles, you know, the old fashioned Chronicles series, for instance. I think still going in Congleton and Sam Batch and Old Sage Chronicles. It's like a family newspaper, I suppose, very old fashioned. And if you want to get something printed, it's dead easy. You know, probably print it as a letter, even if it's a press release. And still probably does verbatim type reports in the way that the old-fashioned papers did years and years ago, but not anymore. So it's a challenge really to get people even aware of the fact of what we're doing as a town council, or the fact there is a town council. You know, and what's the main? I mean, my main news. Local news app is probably, well, I won't name it, but you know, it's a well-known effort that gets to the nub of the issue, and they do that all over the place. That's very handy, but again, it's I think that those sorts of outlets rely on press releases or information from the services, and you know, and not averse to clickbait, issue clickbait, you know, such and such and such. What do you think about X, Y, Z? You can picture it, and you can know what people are writing. So it's important to get to reach other people, and the other thing is anyway. I mean, I'm not sure that I personally would favour it going to every household. I'm not sure it would be taking people take notes of it. Not sure. But I mean, if you did that, the thing to send to every household might be, for example, when you issue the council tax, when the council tax bills go out. You know, Cheshire Council has a little brochure. The Fire Authority does the same. And be in the police report. But to get the even then, the people actually look at it. But I think it'd be worthwhile if we were able to put something out periodically for these, say, community projects. For sort of leaflet wraps and stuff like that. That's the sort of, yeah. So I think in a very general way, I think it's worth looking into. The rest of it, how often would you like it to be? I can't help thinking, to be honest. I mean, there's only 5 of us here, and there's other ways you could test the opinion could be tested. Across the council, for example, with your poll. It was a nice, such a simple item. It was a brief item. Certainly for the town councils, saying, you know, what are your views? You know, when you think that's what it is, it's a test of opinion, isn't it? And come to that, would it be any point in good ideas for the Suzanne, was the comms officer, even to put her a little, some sort of press release? Would you like to hear more from us? The difficulty, of course, is that it would reach the people who are online. Not the people.
The ones we want to meet.
The ones you want to meet. So, I think some sort of opinion poll or straw poll, both of members, elected members, and the more wider public could be useful. I mean, it's not something that's pressing for a decision straight off. It's really hard.
No.
You know, so the conclusion, yeah, I tend to agree the conclusions are sensible. Do we want to proceed to provide direction? Well, I think it needs a little bit more direction, and maybe because we're only just about quarter, let's face it.
Councillor Rhodes?
Yeah, I think whichever way you look at this, there's a cost. And the cost will be the first thing that our George Comfort will throw at us. We've got to look at it in the sense of, do you want to communicate with people of Crewe? Do you want to just not talk to the keyboard warriors? And it have a cost. And you have to make a decision, because I think that layout, because it's not just about, it's about what we do as a council, where we spend their money. We believe it's good value, others may have a different view, well, that's fine. That's what democracy and everything's about. But if you just put it in community places, libraries and the rest, there's nothing worse than when you go in the library and you still see the panel line. And I've seen it delivered all sorts from our council over various activities we put on. We put them into schools, and I, on school in Ruskin, go in there and there they are, still piled up by the, nobody's put all the down, you've got one outside, you know what I mean? I think if you're going to bite the bullet on this, you've got to take it to all the people. I really do. I think I'm not suggesting you do that every year, but the initial one should have all the information, where you can contact, what it's about, and so on. The main one that is online is what's Cheshire East responsibility. So you've got that. So I think there's lots of things that there's a lot of potential. But I think we have to pay. I mean, you do the figures there, £6,780. What do those figures?
Yes.
For us to deliver to businesses and residents. If we just do households, it's £200 less. There's a cost for that. But is that the way we should go? Or should we spend, what is it, £3,000 something just by having flyers or putting that out in various places? Now, has this come through when you say that people have asked the question, has it actually been on any committee?
No.
Now, therefore, should it be on a committee? I'm just posing these questions. Should it be on a committee where you would normally look at whichever the appropriate committee, and they would then look initially and so on?
I think it should, and that's why I see it, because
I think that is the correct way to do it. And clearly, it would come eventually to here because of the cost and so on.
Well,
in committee and then the full council.
In the reorganised committees, this committee now sees communications as a corporate function, so it sits with F&G, not in another committee. That's why it's come here. Only in the first instance, I think the conversation is really positive. It's a start of a conversation about where we're going to go. I'm not asking you to say free up £7,000 and we'll go and do it tomorrow. I don't think it's really helpful what's been said. So it's come here for the first coat of looking at. And do you want us to go any further?
Would we not test the water by doing it online at first and see what sort of reaction we get, and if it's the right sort of reaction, then take it into print? But having it online might backfire a bit.
Dennis?
I agree with the principle, but the people that we want to contact through this haven't got computers. As Steve said earlier, they're 80 odd, most of the people. And I just wonder, are we letting ourselves open for the council wasting more money? If we could get the views of the people that haven't got computers, and I know it's not impossible, but then I would say, well, let's do that. But if you go online and ask people, the people that haven't got computers aren't going to have a say. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know, to be honest. I'm going to sit on the fence on this one. I really don't know.
I think, as I got very said, do you want to communicate with the people that pay their dues to this council for us to promote Crewe and put on events in a positive manner for Crewe. And if we do, then it has a cost. For example, I can't preempt what's going to happen in the next item. Maybe there is some scope to save money, what we spend on that, which we could look at freeing up some money for maybe printing a newsletter. There's ways that you can look at it. I think the print. I personally think we should look at the newsletter, and then it's debate then after. If you want it to go to targeted houses, if you want it in whatever. But I think it's a good idea initially, but we're not going to spend the money immediately. It'd have to go through us again, Dennis, and so on before we do it. And if that feels that it's too much money, then so be it. But I think it'll be a positive. We've done it actually in the early days, have we not? Didn't we have
Send
to?
around an annual report.
Didn't we have to put out an annual report, and that had to go out, not online?
We did a long time ago send out an annual report, which was paper was posted to every house. But it was only folder day for a sheet.
We have done it.
You can do anything you want to do, if I may.
Yeah.
Seems there's an indication of positivity to the concept, which is good. I think Councillor Osborne's point about testing it with other members was really positive, get a broader informal response. And I'm wondering if I ask Suzanne to perhaps add a bit more meat to the bones of this concept. Now, there is an annual report that we do every year. It's a bit more than A4, it's 24 pages long this year. So
It was a condensed version.
yeah.
Ready for votes.
I apologise. But I wasn't planning on printing 27,000 copies, to be fair. Will be available online. If I go out to members, as Councillor Hogman's suggested, with a slightly more enhanced proof copy and asking questions about what you'd like to see in it, how you'd think it might best be distributed, and questions like that, Suzanne's put some questions, and maybe come back with a bit more feedback on other options that may be available to the committee. Would that be reasonable, or would you like more alacrity?
Can I ask a silly question?
Probably.
Here, Michael,
Sorry.
do we know how many houses there are in Crewe?
Yes. Yeah. In the report, what's it?
Sorry, I'm-
23,500.
Is that all?
26,596.
Is that including all the new builds?
That's for the residences and businesses in Crewe.
26.
Yeah.
So
It's 7 near.
27,000.
okay, so to get a newsletter out to every house in the council.
Yeah.
Would be 27,000. So you might as well rule the other thing, say 30,000. So how much would that cost us?
Just short of £7,000, I think.
6, 7, 8.
It's delivered as well.
6, 7, 8, I think.
Six,
That's
seven, eight.
delivered.
It's delivered, yeah.
But if you're going to do that, we've either got to find it monthly or find it.
I wouldn't suggest we put it out. I would advise not
Monthly,
monthly.
no, because I think.
A couple of times a year might be a reasonable amount, because whilst everyone's very busy doing lots of good work, it does get a little bit dull. So I would suggest no more than twice a year, if that's okay. But with not wishing to be a spender, if it was once a year, it's about £7,000. It's twice a year, that's double. The long and short is the council is in a strong financial position. We've maintained good levels of reserves, we've maintained strong procurement processes, and then we've made efficiencies throughout the years as we keep going. And we're not finding ourselves in the same position as other authorities where they're struggling.
Would you have an editor?
Yeah.
Or somebody to say that, no, don't really want that, because.
I suggest that someone is adding to the book. Generally, Suzanne will will put it together. Added to that, the officers will put together various different aspects of articles and things like that. There is information that is relevant and interesting to people, such as Councillor John Rose mentioned about who to contact for what issue, what all the different contact details are. That sort of does I think it'd be very wise if there was 1, 2 or 3 members who looked at it before it was a broader circulation. I'm not quite there yet, but I wouldn't think that. I think that'd be wise.
So basically what you're saying is that the council would be the editors.
Council or councillors?
Yeah.
I'm not precious on that at all.
No. What do you think about I mean, I won't say where it originates, but there are such things as digital cohorts. Some people here will know what this means. There's almost a cohort of organised keyboard warriors or peacekeepers, maybe. Anyway, now what I mean, I just wonder what the opinion is. For example, somebody could be me, could be somebody else, sort of putting something up on. This is really sort of putting your head above the parapet, possibly, but putting up something on social media, whether it's Poo TV, which has got about 28,000 followers, and most of whom are looking for lost cats and dogs and want to know the plumber. But using that, or nextdoor.co.uk, which is very wide coverage all over the place, including certain notable people whose names are escaping at the moment. But anyway, just something really, really soft. You put a question here, which is in the public domain, topics for discussion. Would you like Queen Town Council to produce a print newsletter? That could be put in, included with other stuff, by quite informally, not by the town council, or state of giving away the secret, quite publicly, but no. Why not? Why not? I mean, what do people think of that idea? Is it tempting fate? It's a way of testing what there might be no reaction at all, or there might be some sort of reaction. It's one way of testing the water, isn't it? And do you think elected members should get involved?
I think
Such an exercise.
I think visible elected members are only a good thing, and I really mean that. Whilst it's a challenge because members are volunteers and yet do become subject to some very challenging and unfortunate approaches, but engaged members who are visible is only positive in my view. So if you want to go, I don't know. Yeah, all the input is valid one way or another as long as you can balance it in the way of judgment. It's for you to decide. Literally, Suzanne has been proactive and been. This has been mentioned to her a few times, and she thought, "Well, let's start the conversation." That's what she's done. I think it's a really positive thing to do, and I think the conversation tonight has been positive. So I'm happy to progress it in any way you see fit.
John?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to what Steve said there, and it's correct. If you to do that, you get some straw poll. But my own personal view is that we should make us mind up on what we should do as councillors. We've been elected as councillors to make some decisions, and we should make that decision whether we believe a newsletter is the right way. Because whatever you do online, you'll get some negativity. You'll get very few that will say, that's a good idea. Because when you get down to the cost, you can say, well, that's a waste of money, isn't it? But do we think it's value? Because we're actually selling what we do. One of the hard things we go and say, oh, we've got, and I can do it with my friend. I say, oh, we've got the old bee coming, because he loved the edge, I said, we've got the bee coming. He said, I didn't know. He doesn't do online. He didn't know. Now we'll be the first there. And I'll say to him, well, that's cost us X pounds. He said, money well spent, kid. You know what I mean? But he won't be online saying that. But I'll tell you who will be online, and you could list them down. And old Joe who lives in Middlesbrough has his pop as well. Let's have it right. Let's have it right. When they start rubbishing us, they're not for crew. And they certainly won't be right. They won't be the people that pay the money. They'll live anywhere but these, oh, look at that one, I want to do this. and get it going, and then True TV, oh, that's a really, oh yeah, it's like GB News, isn't it? You know what I mean? Let's have it right. I don't care whether this goes out, we have as councillors got to make a decision. And if you don't like it, that's fine by me, because I'll just think, well, okay, we don't spend any money. But at this stage, it's the early stages. Let's look at what it potentially could be. Let's look if it can be cheaper. Let's have a look at the whole thing. And then at some point in the future, we can give it a touch, or we can actually say, okay.
I think the
So that's my view on it.
Ellen?
You know, something like that.
I think the idea is good. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's the way that we're going to manage it, to keep away from the people that are going to start rubbishing the newsletter or the council. I mean, it's a good thing that the people out there know what we're doing.
Dennis?
Thank you, Chair. I like everything I've heard. I really do. But the one thing I'm still worried about is how do we contact the people who are not on computers? The people that in my opinion, the people that we're aiming for. But as Steve said, he's got friends at 80 odd, haven't got computers.
We're going to post it to the library. We're going to post it.
I know, but how do we ask them out if they're interested in getting it in the first place? Because if you put it on the computer, they're not going to see it.
You can,
So they don't get a
you
vote.
can have a form for them to fill in, if you like, with a free post address, back to here, and they could be looked at.
Right, okay, I think we're getting into the organisation issue
Yeah.
rather than the principle. So, I think if we're happy with the principle of a newsletter to be explored. We're concerned that it's not just this committee whose opinions are sought, but the opinion of the rest of the councillors, any other relevant people. I think, for instance, there'll be focus groups, there'll be community groups that might have an opinion that I'm quite sure somebody will know who they are. We don't seem to be agreed on whether it's once a year or twice a year, but we're saying no more than twice a year, I would think. I've got an issue with language, because we know, don't we, that we've got numerous languages spoken. So we have to, even if we decide to produce it in English, we have to have looked at the issue round about, is it right just to produce it in English? Because it's no point in posting it through Door and Crew South, really, if it's in English. Unless that person has got English, understands English, or has someone who can read it to them. So I think language has got to be considered. So we're saying as well that Suzanne will mock up something, but that there would be a kind of an editorial board if it goes ahead, of a small number of councillors that looked at the content and decided if it was appropriate. So I think the vote would be, the motion would be, I'll propose it is now, it would be that we support the idea of a newsletter, but we would require additional information before making a final decision. Anybody want to object to that?
I'll second it.
Not objecting. I think your summary was really good. It covers all the main issues. And that's useful. That's reflected in the minutes for people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So Dennis is second. All those in favour then? Thank you. So that will obviously come back to committee at a future meeting.
It will.
So item 11, which is to consider the disposal of redundant Christmas lights.
Members will recall the exciting opportunity that we published nearly a year ago for a new provider or a new contract for provision of public realm Christmas lights and crew. At the end of that procurement period, we appointed a provider on a 3-year contract, and they're providing full new scheme, being that the scheme we had, which had been built over time, was beyond anticipated commercial life and was running repairs were a constant issue. That redundant lighting scheme, which is mostly festoons of LED lights, several years old, is now sat in storage and accruing costs of storage. They have no commercial value that I can find. I've advertised them across the networks of local councils to gain interest. Some interest was expressed and then they tailed off when they found out how old it was. And there's no means to dispose of it on the broader market because the lighting professionals wouldn't use it because it costs too much to maintain it. So we do have the opportunity to dispose of it now. In terms of scrap value, the highest price I've got for it is £600. So there is a small income to be drawn from it and no ongoing liability of storing. I see no value. I can make no recommendations to retain this. It has no value in scrap.
Excuse me. How much is storage cost?
Yeah, well, if you, on your plate it says £3,600 storage
Yeah, it's
annually. So if we sold them at £600, we're saving £4,200 a year.
Yeah.
Unless that £3,600 includes something else.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't, so.
Yeah, if you have to store it for a year, it's about £300. That's what happens.
So, yeah, I'm quite happy to sell them.
Kevin, you got your
Yeah, I've got
answer
the
about how
answer,
much
thank
it
you.
really costing.
Yeah.
And I think we also owe the container that they're sitting.
Do we?
Oh yes, we do. I think it's
not on
your,
our asset register.
I'm sure it was on your asset register.
No, that's the Rangers container,
Alright.
that is.
But I'm sure. that we
You
bought
know
the-
what? I'll check into that.
I think we might have bought the container going back 10 years.
Okay.
I think I remember purchasing a second container.
I'm not questioning you.
No, but water has passed under the bridge since that went on. But I think that we bought the container and the second container.
Fair
Going back. So Dennis is happy to propose that we dispose of the lights. Does anybody, Councillor Hogben is seconding that?
I'm second this
With enthusiasm.
with enthusiasm because it represents a saving. £600 is only the lights, isn't it? It's not the container that's going to.
No, I wasn't aware that we own that container. We can do because that's not listed on our asset register.
That's because they were never stored on our premises, were they?
I don't know.
Well, after the
You
meeting,
bought
I'll
it,
tell you
you
where they were
Oh,
stored.
I know where they were stored.
So we're happy to accept the £600 scrap value, and that would be what we voted on, that we dispose of the lights and we accept the offer of scrap value that we have. So all those in favour? Thank you.